Is this a worthy return for Angelina Jolie? Hello, everybody. I'm Anaji, and this is FMV Reviews. Those Who Wish Me Dead tells a story of a woman who fights forest fires, who, while up in her fire watch tower, comes across a little boy who is in dire need of help, as there are two killers who are hunting him because he knows a secret that he shouldn't know. So, in trying to find this little boy, these two killers start a forest fire. So, you have it where Angelina Jolie's character and this little boy are trying to navigate this forest fire while also trying to get around these two killers who are also hunting them. So, that's the basic plot of Those Who Wish Me Dead. So yeah, this is a return for Angelina Jolie. I know she's been in other movies sporadically throughout the decade, but I think the thing that drew me to this movie for the most part was that she was in it and that Taylor Sheridan was the one who was helming it. So yeah, Angelina Jolie. At this point, I think the thing I found most interesting about watching her in this film is that she is definitely a veteran actor now. She brings a certain screen presence, and her acting skills are strong enough that I think she helps to give the movie more depth than I think is necessarily there, or is maybe missing from the way this movie was put together. But yeah, like I mentioned before, I think the other really noticeable thing to talk about with this movie is Taylor Sheridan. I think Taylor Sheridan within the last decade has done a really good job of building up his career, making kind of not necessarily old school, but kind of throwback action, adult action thriller movies. You know, these movies tend to deal with people who are in their 30s or middle age, and they're involved in these crime stories. The pacing tends to be really even, very no nonsense. The violence tends to hit very hard, also mixed in with some fairly solid character drama. I mean, I think that's why his work has tended to attract people who are pretty good character actors. You know, he's worked with people like Chris Pine, Ben Foster, Jeff Bridges, and with the likes of this, Angelina Jolie. So yeah, I think he brings a lot of that same sensibility to this movie. One thing I will say is the way this movie depicts forest fires is really, really scary. I think after last year, when America especially was getting hit by all these fires, it definitely made me more aware of them. But seeing the way this movie depicts how scary it is to be in a forest fire, I really found that to be effective. I do wish that the fire stuff was more integrated into the various action thriller scenes. I don't think the forest fire plays as big of a part as I expected it to be, especially in the way it ties to Angelina Jolie's character's background. But I do think this movie has some solid action thriller scenes. I think the movie is at its best for the most part when the character stuff is being integrated into the action thriller scenes. I do think the two villains in this movie are really effective. They're played by Nicholas Hoult and my man Littlefinger from Game of Thrones. And yeah, they're really scary, especially just how efficient they are and just how ruthless they come across. But also, I couldn't help but wonder if I don't think the movie's necessarily making a comment on it, but I couldn't help but wonder if the way they're able to navigate and get into certain situations and get out of certain situations isn't because of the fact that they are like two white guys in America doing this. I think if they were someone of color, there would have been more suspicion on them. But I do think they're pretty effective. But I'm gonna get into what I think is the most important point I'm probably gonna make about why I think this movie does not get a higher score from me. But before I do that, I want to say make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. So let's get into it. I think the main problem this movie has, it's like a positive but overall a negative, is that this movie has a fairly solid cast, right? You have John Bernthal in this, and I don't know the name of the actress who plays his wife, but there's some really good character actors within this movie. But I ultimately think what hurts this film is the fact that because we have enough plot lines going on that are fairly separate from Angelina Jolie and the little boy who were supposed to be like the real heart of this film. Because it's cutting to all these various plots, we don't get enough time with Angelina Jolie and this little boy to really build their relationship up and to see how they're bonding together. And I think it ultimately kind of robs the film, because the film is supposed to be their movie, but there is a certain point where the John Bernthal and his wife stuff actually starts to supplant the Angelina Jolie stuff in terms of like emotional effectiveness. And I think that's ultimately makes it where for me this movie's not going to get a higher score. So I think in conclusion that Those Who Wish Me Dead is a pretty effective action thriller. It's pretty solid. I don't think it's anything particularly memorable, but if you're looking for something, fairly light and breezy in the action thriller genre, then I think Those Who Wish Me Dead will be a good viewing uh, feature for you. And with that, I'm going to give Those Who Wish Me Dead a 7 out of 10. So hey, if you've seen this movie, let me know what you think down in the comments below, because I had a hard time kind of nailing down what it was about this movie that made it not work for me as well as Taylor Sheridan's other features. So yeah, I'd really like to hear what y'all think about it. And until then, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.